leg work today, let's get going. So we're going to take those legs wide, have the insteps parallel, and let's just start with some reaches up, just nice and gently lifting the rib cage off of the hips. Hold both arms up, and then from there let's just take a gentle, to start with, big swing. So bending the knees, letting the arms hang, letting them swing behind you, flow, making sure knees are going over the toes, letting the head relax. And then I'm going to add on to this a little bit. So I'm going to come forwards. I'm going to do the reached up again. Let's do about 4 of them. Trying to touch the ceiling. Check your breathing, and then stay reaching up with those arms, but drop your eye line down, and then a big swing all the way down this time. When you get to the top, circling those arms, and then going again. I'm just going quite slowly to start with, and if that feels too much to circle the whole arm, just do a nice big shoulder roll. Do a couple of those, maybe 4 of those I did that time. So swing, come back up. It feels quite natural to just let the arms relax back because they're already in the air, but if that doesn't suit you right now, take a nice big shoulder roll. Breath out as you go down. Breath in here. So today I'm just looking at getting you moving quite quickly, using the whole body compared to yesterday's class, which was a little bit smaller movements and all about isolations. Let's think about our feet. So bring your feet a little bit closer together. Feet and legs, ankles and knees. I'm just going to start by, we're going to do some slow pony trots. I'm just going to start by rising up on the ball of the foot and putting my heel down. And I'm thinking about bending my toe joints over, which feels quite nice. Because we're still warming up, and because I want you to be warming up, so keep going if you can while I'm talking. Thinking about just moving and stretching through the movements as opposed to being too accurate. So you might find this is a little bit more challenging on your balance, but that's absolutely fine. So I've added on to this a little toe pop, popping my toes, pointing my foot completely at the end, and then I'm going to now add a knee bend. So it's all going on. I'm trying to rise up onto the balls of the feet, lower through the heel, then bend the knee. As I bend the knee, I'm popping that toe. So imagine, the reason I call them pony trots, a little bit like a horse when they're doing their lovely dressage stuff. So let's stay down on one leg, lift the other leg up and just circle that ankle. Might be a little bit wobbly, it's absolutely fine. And then come up onto the ball of that foot, come down onto the other leg, making sure your knees are going over your toes, circling that foot up. Let's do that one more time each side, changing direction with that foot at the ankle, just arms are just hanging. In fact, for this last one, I'm just going to get my fingers twiddling and twirling as well. And that should feel quite nice. I feel like I've woken everything up in the extremities. Really good to wake up the central nervous system. I'm going to go sideways on to the camera. Arms nice and wide for butterfly. Arms, so butterfly arms. Nice long lever, but my focus is actually shifting the rib cage forwards and backwards. So as I push my ribs back, I take the arms forwards. It's a nice stretch around the rib cage, your thoracic spine. I have to bend my knees and I have to tuck my pelvis under in order to make that more comfortable. When I'm taking my chest, my rib cage forwards, pinning my arms back a little bit, getting a stretch across the front of the chest. Ribs are flaring, that's absolutely fine. I've straightened my legs. I'm probably overarching my lower back a little bit, which isn't ideal, but that's not the end of the world. As I say, we're not trying to be too picky with exactly where we're placing everything. We're just trying to wake everything up get it all moving and flowing, and hopefully this is also getting you warm quite quickly. Great, so let's think about mobilising the spine. I'm going to stay here. We're going to lift the chest, look up to the ceiling, stick the bottom out, place your hands on your legs, arms on your legs if you want to for that first couple. Relax your chest over your thighs, let the head hang last, and then tuck under, excuse me, and roll all the way back up. Lift the chest, arch the back, and then roll all the way back up. So this is, I call this a chest lift. So I'm really trying to lift the chest up to the ceiling, maintaining that curve in the shape of my back. I relax the head down last, make sure it really is relaxed and just hanging, and then I lift with my upper back. As I'm lifting there, I'm tucking under with that tailbone, strongly pulling the abs in really nice and tight so that I'm supporting the back all the way up. Our spines are wonderfully mobile and flexible and strong, and you just need to remind yourself, have confidence in that spine. Our bodies are amazing. We can go so much further than we think. Strongly just pulling in that belly button on the way up. Great, let's go back to feet shoulder width and facing front again. We're going to take some reaches up again, lifting the rib cage off of the hips, trying to really lengthen the spine here, looking up, keeping the weight even on both feet. And then I'm going to just drop the arms down and lower my eye line, but I've got this lovely long lengthened spine. I'm a little bit braced, which we don't necessarily need because we're going to start to take a gentle side bend, reaching the fingertips down the side seam of your leggings, tracksuit bottoms. And it was important to lift the rib cage off so that we've created space. And hopefully, as you warm up with this sort of thing, you might be able to go a little bit further. Remember to take your head with you. Spine comes all the way up into the base of the skull. Don't leave your head behind. Create a nice curve. So we're going to create a lot of curves today as well. So think about this curve. This is a lovely sideways curve. All the way over to one side, hold it there, and then lift your elbow up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to straighten that arm, take it straight up to the ceiling, relax his head, and then come upright. Over to the other side. So you've freed up this shoulder even, not just the blade. As at the back, that's not relevant. Lifting the elbow and then a straight arm, and then I'm really thinking about stretching the side seam of my back over to the other side. So this, as you know, if you've done this one with me before, gets progressively more stretchy, more movement. So from that straight arm up to the ceiling, we're now going to take the arm across, and that's continuing that lovely sideways curve over to the side. Elbow lifts high, straight arm, and then that arm continues that lovely curve. And again, over to the side, adding on a little bit more. Relaxing the hand here if you can. Straight arm, curve it, and then push your hips away. So you've now got an even stronger curve. And then coming all the way up. One more to the other side. Elbow, whoopsie, I pushed my hips away first. Shoulders over, elbow, straight arm. Take the arm across, create that curve, and then add to the curve by pushing your hips across. Great. Come upright a moment and just watch me. We're going to add on to this. We're going to come out of it. So just watch a moment. We're stretching over to the side. We're going to roll down. When we're here, we're going to straighten one leg and straighten the other leg, alternating. Look at what happens with the hips. And then I'm going to keep one leg straight, and that allows me to lift this arm up with one leg straight and the other leg bent, and then you come up like Pooh Bear. It feels really nice. Just watch one more time. So we're going to go from the side, we're going to relax down, we're going to straighten one leg. So I've straightened the other leg, we're going to bend and straighten legs a couple of times. Elbow goes up, my shoulders rotate, I lift the arm up, and then I miraculously unravel. It feels really nice. So let's go over to one side first. So, sorry, shoulders, elbow, straight arm. Stretch that arm across, push the hips across. This time bend the knees, roll down, hang in the middle. So let your head, just nod your head, relax your arms, legs, both legs are bent for the moment. I'm just going to straighten one leg, straighten the other leg. Straighten one, bend the other, feeling the hips dropping from side to side. Make sure that head is relaxed and hanging. So keep one leg straight. Doesn't really matter because we're going to make sure you do the other side, but the leg that you've got straight, lift that elbow up towards the ceiling, turn and look up at the ceiling, look past your elbow. Just take that straight arm up to the ceiling. This is all on the straight leg side, and then just lift that arm all the way up. Your spine, your chest will miraculously unravel. Good, I did manage to do the other side, I think. So I'm going to go over to this side, and then we're here. Oh, I've done it again, sorry. Tip the shoulders over, lift the elbow, straighten that arm, take it across, and then push across. And now bend the knees, relaxing all the way down. 4 times, straighten one leg, bend the other. This should feel quite nice on its own anyway. And then finish with the other leg straight to the one you just did. Lift that same side elbow up. Look past your elbow up at the ceiling. Your shoulders have rotated outwards. Take that arm up to the ceiling and then just unravel yourself. Nice and gently, be relaxed. And there we go. Elbow lead side bends with an elbow lead roll up. Great, let's just finish off. Tiny bit more rotation. Relaxed again, let the arms swing. So let shoulders, hips, ankles go. The head is facing forwards to start with. And then I'm going to look behind me, just adding on. Make sure you're not placing those arms. Don't lift and place them, just let them go. Brilliant, coming back to the centre. Great, so onto our leg work. Starting with some squats. We're going to start with narrow squats. Before we do narrow squats, let's take some narrow hip hinges. So feet are hip width apart, remember that's your hip bones, insteps parallel. From a good standing tall posture, I'm placing my hands here because this is the bit that's going to change. It's the only bit that's going to change. As I hinge forwards, hinging from the hip, does what it says on the tin, no change in the spine, sending the bottom back, hold it there for me. The weight is back on the heels. You can tap the whole of the front of your foot. Let's do one at a time maybe. Good, no change in the shape of your back, no stress in the back, hopefully, because you have drawn the belly button in a little bit. You've connected the rib cage. So when I said to stand really up nice and tall, I've switched on a little bit around here. I'm not just completely relaxed. That enables me to hold that torso in the correct position, including shoulders. So remember the shoulders are pinning back slightly. They tend to be here. We want to just take them back a little bit so they're in that midline. Let's move on from there into some narrow squats. So feet are in exactly the same position. So remember the hip hinge is the beginning and the end of your squat. The difference now is that I've bent the knees, I've dropped my hips down, the ankles have joined in. There's much more crease, there's much more hinge at the hip, but essentially the shape of my back, well, the shape of my back definitely hasn't changed, but the angle of my back hasn't really changed either. And I'm just reaching my arms forwards, as a counterbalance. So we're going to have a little look at changing the speed of these today. So let's just go and take some regular all the way down, all the way back up. If you can see yourself in a mirror, you're looking for shoulders to be level, hips to be level, knees to be level, feet nice and parallel. If you were to turn to the side, you would see, so sideways onto a mirror, you would see that your bottom's going back, your knees are above your ankles. No lifting the head here. Okay, so let's change our timing. Let's go down for 3 counts and come up for 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3, hold it there a moment, and then drive down through those heels as you straighten the legs. Ideally 2, 3, as you push down through your heels, your weight's a little bit back on the heels, you're going to feel your buttocks firing up. You might not, that's absolutely fine. 2, 3, and push down. My focus is not my quads because I've sent my bottom back. The focus is the back line of the body, and push down through those heels. 1 more. 3, 2, 1. Hold it here a moment. Push down. I'm also sort of almost pushing my feet apart a little bit. I'm really grounding my feet into the floor. Let's change the direction of that. So we're going to go down for 1, and we're going to come up for 3, 2, 1. And again, down for 1 all the way, coming up 3, 2, 1. 2 more sets. All the way down. 3, 2, 1. Can you feel those buttocks switching on yet? If not, make sure you are really sending that butt back. Let's go a little bit wider. So I'm going to take my toes out first, then my heels. When you're in a wider position, you want your toes to go out a little bit. And actually not just your toes, your whole leg. Just turn it out in the hip socket. Sort of 2-3 minutes, 2-3 minutes past the hour. Not much more than that. And you'll just find, so let's just take some squats here, that you'll be able to send that bottom back maybe a little bit further behind you. But if your legs are slightly turned out and you're taking your knees towards your little toes, you're going to loosen up or just give yourself more movement in that hip joint at the front of the hip. You could try it with your feet really parallel. Try a couple there. And for me, I feel like I get stuck at this stage. I can't really drop my hips any lower. So legs slightly turned out. 3 minutes, 2-3 minutes past. Now because we're wider with the legs, don't be tempted to stay upright with that back. Send the bottom back. It's quite a nice one to practice if you're not used to doing squats. Great functional full body movement, so important. One of our 10 things to do every day is to practice this, just to reach out and try and brush your bottom on the settee or a dining room chair, maybe which would be a little bit higher, and don't actually sit down and then come back up again. Make sure you're sending that butt back. Okay, let's change our timing. So let's go down for 3, 2, 1. Hold it here. Push down through those heels. And again, 3, 2, 1. Push down through the heels. 2 more sets. 3, 2, 1. Knees are over the toes. Pushing down. 3, 2, 1. Make sure those knees aren't rolling in. Push them out and coming up. Let's change that timing. Down in 1. Hold it here a moment. Checking everything. Pin those shoulders back a little bit. Keep the chin tucked in so that there's no wrinkles in the back of the neck, and push down and out with your feet on the floor. So I'm pushing out, I'm pushing my knees out. All of this is helping me to fire up the buttocks. All the way down, push up 3, 2, 1. And again, 2 more sets. All the way down. 3, 2, 1. All the way down. Chest is high. 3, 2, 1. Last one. Great. Now let's turn our legs all the way out in the hip socket. And I'm going to go a little bit wider with my feet here, because we're going to take a ballet plie. Knees are going over the toes. Good old strong stretch in the groin. I'm not pitching forwards now, I'm not sending my bottom back, I'm just as upright as I can be in my chest and my spine. There's a hinge at the hip, but a bit like when we come in to do a wide, deep squat. This is really creasing. Ballet plie, we don't really need to be hips any lower than your knees. Most importantly is the alignment for this. So if I just turn to the side, so I've turned my legs all the way out in the hip socket. As I'm bending my knees, I'm making sure that I think that's a bit back there, if I go there, yeah. So my heels are on the straight line, spine is upright. As I bend my knees, I'm pinning this knee back so that it's going over my toes. I'm not allowing that to happen. If you let that ankle collapse in and that knee roll in, really just uncomfortable everywhere. At those three joints, ankles, knees and hips, not good at all. Just go as far as you can. You might only be able to go this low. You might not be as turned out as I am. That's absolutely fine. Just try and keep the spine upright. No pitching forwards. No moving that pelvis, that butt back, and pin those knees back as far as you can. Let's combine. Let's take our timings for this one, if you can. So if this is really uncomfortable for you, just go back to the parallel squats. It's absolutely fine. So let's go down 3, 2, 1, and pushing up. 3, 2, 1, and pushing up. 3, 2, 1, pushing up. I'm going to take my hands to my head. 2, 1, which helps me driving up nice and fast to keep my chest upright. Reversing that timing, down for 1, hold it there. 3, 2, 1, and up, down for 1. Hold it there. Push down through those heels. It feels different. It's not as strong in the buttocks activating when we're turned out. You haven't got that, your bottom going back behind you. You haven't got that pitch forward, that change in your centre of gravity here, because we're keeping that spine upright. Let's take one more for luck. All the way down, up 3, 2, 1. Great. Let's leave the legs here, nice and wide. Let's bring the feet to parallel and facing forward. So I just brought my toes in. So I've rotated the whole leg in the hip socket. Let's pitch forwards into a nice flat back or spine in its natural curves, wide leg hip hinge. So we're hinging at the hips, but primarily where you're going to feel this is that stretch in the backs of the legs. And breathe. Pitching all the way forwards. So if this is your first class of the week or first class for a little while, those hamstrings might be feeling a bit tight. Just take it easy. Going in and out. Keeping the chin tucked in, back of the neck long. Let's just swap into and out of those two positions. So I'm going to take my toes out, I'm going to turn my legs out, keeping the spine upright, coming down into a plie, toes forwards, hinging forwards into a hamstring stretch, turning the legs out. Go steady, take your time, explore where you're moving from. Feet are parallel, hinging forwards. Explore the very different feelings, the very different stretches. Make sure when you're coming into turnout especially that you're even. Let's do one more of each. Feet are parallel, make sure those toes are on the same line. Breathing all the way through. I want to touch my hands to here because this is my main focus. Keeping that spine upright and then coming up. Great job. Okay, give those legs a bit of a shake. Good. We have got some lunges. I said today was going to be a bit tough on the legs. So we're going to build up with a couple of things with this. I'm just going to move my over a little bit because I don't want to hit the wall. So alternate lunges going backwards. So if you need the support of a wall, a chair, kitchen worktop, whatever, wherever you're working at, that's absolutely fine. But if you can, try not to. We're just going to alternate big step back, spine in the middle and really nice and upright, and dropping that back knee down so that you end up with two 90-degree angles. That back knee is almost brushing on the floor, and then you come forwards. So your test would be to start here, two 90-degree angles, curl those toes under on the back foot and push forwards. If that's not any good for you today, you've got bad toes, ankles, knees, hips, whatever, and you're not really feeling it, feel free to have the support. Make sure you stay square to wherever your front is. So my front is here, hips and shoulders square, but and take the legs wide, but just bend a little bit. But make sure you bend them both equally. I see a lot of this, pitching forwards. I want you to be your spine in the centre, so you're equally weighted between both feet and just bending that much. But if you can, your challenge is all the way back, brush that knee to the mat and come all the way forwards again. Let's go back to fingertips to temples, because it just helps me to keep that back nice and upright. So we're alternating, stepping back. Watch that you don't go, if I come this way, don't go on a tightrope. Don't have one foot completely behind the other, really hard to balance. If anything, take that back leg out a little bit. So now you can see as I'm square on, whoopsie, had to put my knee down there, that everything's nice and square, facing the front, facing the camera. So, I'm rocking up my mat. Let's add on to this. So, just clasp the hands actually, clasp the hands, and let's take a figure of 8 at the side of the body. So you're drawing a figure of 8. And as we're doing this in quite a relaxed way, so imagine you're kayaking, canoeing, this is our natural direction with this. And then we're also going to go in the reverse direction, which is that any different? Yeah, no it's not. And then we're going there, that's the reverse direction. So drawing a figure of 8. So to go in the reverse, you lift up, you can take the arms behind you. But basically it's a rotation in your shoulders. So keep your weaker leg at the front, take the other leg back. In and come down into your static lunge. So if you want to work harder, keep that knee brushing off the floor. If you don't want to work so hard, lift the legs up a little bit, but make sure your legs are equally bent, your weight is in the middle, your spine is nice and upright. Here we go. So your weaker leg for one leg standing is forwards. And because of the position of my legs, I'm keeping my legs and my hips are staying still. They're stabilising me, and I'm challenging that stability by adding this lovely rotation in the top half of the body. It's relatively easy if you keep your head facing forwards. I'm just sort of looking to the corner. If you want more of a challenge for that balance, look behind you. Make sure that weight stays in the middle. Good, and then for the ultimate challenge, just bend those knees a little bit more if you can, tuck that pelvis under, so we're getting a bit of multitasking here, we're getting this lovely stretch here. We're going to reverse the direction of our figure of 8. We're going up and over before we come through. And again, if you add your head, that will make it all a little bit stronger. Finishing off, grand finale, here we go, all the way forwards onto that front leg. Standing on that front leg, lifting the other leg up, arms are up. I'm going to take my leg out behind me, I'm going to bend my standing leg. We're going to pitch forwards, we're going to hinge over that hip and hinge and go all the way forwards. Keep your body in a diagonal line if you can. I'm trying not to cheat by touching the wall, but I could. Holding that there if you can. Take your arms out to the side. I'm going to have to cheat and move myself a little bit. So we're out to the side. So this is what I call my capital T balance. Ideally, I'm going to try and straighten that standing leg. Get my body and my back leg parallel to the floor. Same with the arms, parallel to the floor. Holding that there. Ooh, I'm going to bend the knee. I'm going to bring my arms round. No, I'm not. And all the way up to the top, back into that one leg stand and hold. Woo. Good. Well done. Did you manage to stay all the way? Brilliant. So if this particular exercise really doesn't suit you, something to do, as in if you don't want to stand for too long in that lunge position, just practice your lunges up and down, maybe with a little bit of support, rather than holding that static position. So we're on the other leg. We're taking the first leg back. In fact, let's go back to here just for a few. Remind yourself of the movement pattern. Release that leg that we just were balancing on. Okay, let's hold this next one back. So I've got the other leg in front. I'm trying to almost have that knee on the floor, staying really upright with the back. And then we are taking our figure of 8. So I'm focusing on my shoulders rotating, adding the head a little bit to the corner. Hips, legs staying facing forwards, staying strong and still. Adding the head movement for more of a challenge. Whew, making my nose run. Good, I'm getting a little bit out of breath now. And then we're going reverse direction. Up and then under, up and under. And you almost can't help but take your head side to side with this one. Make sure you haven't started to straighten out that back leg. I can feel myself going a little bit there. Tuck that pelvis under. Whoo, get the stretching the hip flexors. Woo, brilliant. Arms are up. Transfer the weight all the way onto that front leg. Beautiful straight line. Take the leg out behind you in a diagonal line. Hips and shoulders, your tissue box is square. I'm going to bend my standing leg initially so that I can hinge over this hip. Then once I've found my balance, I'm going to take my arms out to the side. I'm going to try and straighten that standing leg, and then I'm just tweaking it, holding that there. Holding that there, thinking of the balance through the body. You might need to bend that standing leg. You might need to be here. Absolutely no problem at all. We're aiming for that capital T. Watch that back hip. It will want to lift up. Hand enough. All the way up to the top. Standing tall, finishing it off beautifully. Whew, well done. Brilliant. Okay, let's take wide leg. My wide leg dance stretches. Let's move the monitor down a little bit now. Pretty much from here, we're on the floor, so you might want to just move your laptop if you're working from one, so it's a little bit lower to the floor so that you can see the position. So wide leg dance stretches, does what it says on the tin. Legs are wide, insteps are parallel. I'm going to take one arm up to the ceiling. I'm going to go the other way actually. I'm going to turn my shoulders towards that opposite foot and pitch forwards. Strong hamstring stretch. I've got this arm by my ear. My shoulders and hips are square. I'm going to relax down and take hold of that leg. Taking hold of the lower leg,
trying to get my head towards my knee. Trying to get it. Just don't over stress with this. You could be up here, it's absolutely fine. But the focus is on the leg that you're touching, the leg you're reaching towards. From here, just hold your upper body position, bend the other knee. You need your legs quite wide for this. If your legs aren't wide enough, you won't feel this change in the stretch. The stretch should change to be your inside thigh on the leg that you're touching, and then across the side seam of your back, especially your upper back, on the opposite side. From here, I'm going to lift that elbow up again, a bit like what we did earlier. Take the straight arm up to the ceiling and just work on the rotation. The bent knee, I'm pushing it out towards its little toe. I'm relaxing in the middle, bending both knees, just nod that head and then roll up through the spine. Unravelling all the way to the top. Let's go to the other side. So one arm up, shoulders and hips square. The legs stay still, the hips stay square. I just rotate around in my waist to that other leg and then pitch forwards. Just go as far as you can until you feel the hamstring stretch on the back of that leg. Arm is up by your ear. Lengthening forwards, relax down, relax your upper body down, take your upper body, try and lay it, or take your body actually, and try and lengthen it along that leg, holding that there. Holding onto the lower part of the leg, attempting to get your head towards that knee. Bend the other knee. It should really take the stress off of the hamstrings. It'll be there a little bit, but into that inside thigh, groin area of the straight leg. Push the other knee out. Rotating your shoulders, take your elbow up to the ceiling, look up past it, take the arm up to the ceiling, look up past that hand, hold it there. This is pure rotation. Relax in the middle, let your body hang, let your head hang, nod your head, legs are bent. Weight is equal, and then roll up through the spine, taking your back lift, strongly pulling your belly button in. We're going to do that one more time each side. So lifting the arm up, turn the shoulders, reach forwards, lengthen towards the corner with your spine in its natural curves. Relax the upper body over that leg. Try and take a breath in and a breath out in each position. Focus on deepening the stretch when you take your breath out. Bend the opposite knee. Feel this change and where the stretch is. Lift the elbow up, straighten the arm, rotate the shoulders around. And breathe. Relax in the middle. Bend both knees, weight is in the middle, shake the head, nod the head, roll up, let those arms hang as you roll up. Last one, here we go. And it looks like we've lost internet connection, but that's fine. And we're pitching forwards, flat back. Arms are up by the ears. Holding that there, relax all the way down. And breathe, taking that head towards your knee, bend the other knee, knees are over your toes, lift your arm up, rotate, shoulders around, and breathe, relax in the middle, roll up through the spine. Holding that there. Just going to see if I can restart this